the Smiler is the 14-inversion world-first roller coaster at Alton Towers, located in X Sector. It was first announced in 2011 and was opened on the 31st of May 2013. Now, straight away, as you can tell on the initial concept art, even just from the station art that I'm showing you right now, it's got a Saw the Ride feel almost. It's got like a grungy industrial warehouse feel to it. Now, straight away, that's a complete contrast as to what it is today. Building today is very basic in comparison to the concept art. Since the Smiler was open, the station itself is actually very basic in its design. It's almost empty inside that building. You ascend to the top of the steps to board the ride. You have the two medical spotlights in the station that shine up before you go on your journey. But other than that, there's no indication that this is an experimental or clinical building whatsoever, other than the crazy little weird patterns that you've got around certain parts of the wall. So in terms of the concept art, for what it could have looked like, I actually prefer the concept art. It's actually a bit more theming. There's a bit more thought that has gone into the actual final design of what the station could have looked like to fit in with the experimentation theme that Alton Towers were going with the marketing campaigns. Now, I personally feel that even the queue line in the Smiler is the most basic queue line. It's a cattle pen queue line. Now, whilst this does fit in with sort of experimentation in terms of you being the guinea pigs around this little rat maze before you go into the ride, that makes sense. But at the same time, the actual queue line itself is very basic in its design, and the only theming that it does have, which is the best part of the entire ride, of course, is the actual giant structure in the middle that you're constantly in awe of, with all the various different legs that are branching out from it as the ride's going around. That's your visuals. You know, that big structure in the middle is the main theming structure, but everything else in comparison is bog standard, very basic. The projectors inside the main building don't work half the time. The actual inside of the building is very minimal in its design, and you only need to look at the following concept art to see just how much cooler the inside of the building could have looked. So straight away, you saw the station there, and it's got the grungy feel, the kind of run-down experimental facility feel. That's very cool indeed. And the actual theming element in the middle wasn't always designed the way it is today. Once upon a time, it actually looked more like some sort of War of the Worlds type spider in the middle there, as guests be able to walk around the structure within the queue line. And it also have more TV screens than what it does have today. Now, if we're sticking with the outdoor theming as well, there was also head choppers that were going to be built in after the particular elements of the ride. After you go over the airtime hill, on both sides of the track, in the original concept art, you would pass under a very well-themed head chopper. And that's a shame that that isn't included as well, because that would have been an amazing addition to the Smiler, because that airtime hill, as it is pushing you out of your seat. So seeing that an object is coming towards you at eye level is very scary indeed, as you just swoop underneath it. That would have been such a cool addition to the ride. Whilst I feel that Saw the Ride is personally one of the best themed stations in the country, I also feel as though the Smiler concept art that they could have gone ahead with would have definitely give Saw the Ride a run for its money. You only need to look at the following designs to see that there is a very clinical, medical, almost scare mazy feel to it. And it's got such an eerie vibe. It's got that sort of rushed warehouse vibe where instead of being in a facility that you've been in for many years, you've rushed to a warehouse somewhere, like an abandoned warehouse, thrown up a few curtains and a few last-ditch bits of theming just to get the things ready for the experiments that you want to do. And it's got that very unique, definitely got Saw vibes. So as you can see in the concept art here, even the queue line before you ascend up the stairs has got that dingy, clinical, waiting area type of feel. I would have thought that Alton Towers would have worked with Aroma Prime to get that clinical smell in there, that sort of medicinal TCP almost style smell. That would have been a really cool immersive experience. As you look around, you can see like fake damp and stuff, and you're kind of uneasy with the room that you're in. And that kind of bodes it perfectly well with the story of the Smiler. Like at the moment, it feels too modern. It feels too normal almost for what the Smiler was trying to market. Don't get me wrong, incredible roller coaster. But the theming for me, other than the main structure of the spider, actually dampens the experience rather than increases it. Now, you're going in the cattle pen, it's basic. You're going in the station building, it's basic. The projectors don't work half the time. The audio does get a little bit annoying. So that does kind of fit in with the theme of being like brainwashed, being experimented on, being put through a certain experimental torture that's very repetitious. But the rest of the building has a lot to be desired. Obviously, maybe for cost cutting or for another alternative route that they went down, they decided to go with this more modern feel rather than a dingy horror theme that Alton Towers usually go with many of their roller coasters. So in terms of the actual ride itself, I always thought that the vertical lift was a section that could have been incorporated with theming. So you pull up, you're in a waiting sort of bay. You've got the screens above you that rarely work, ready to ascend that vertical lift. Now, if all that was enclosed, that would be a much more immersive experience. If you're waiting there, you're only there for about 25, 30 seconds, something around there. But if you were pulling into some sort of waiting bay or some hospital bay and it was themed either side, very universal tram tour where you pull in and you've got theming going on either side, where it's very clinical. So you're in a hospital ward, a hospital waiting area, or maybe you are in front of a lift shaft and you're just about to go into the lift. So you've got a dingy corridor, you're just about to go up to the lift to the next floor, and that's the vertical lift. So the vertical lift could have been enclosed as well to mimic an elevator shaft. You're going up vertically like that through your elevator shaft, and at the top you realize that there isn't a floor there. It's a dingy hospital. You know, the floor's probably been gone a long time, and away you go on your journey. It's just that sort of thing that plays with your mind. So you're actually in the station to start with. You go down the indoor section, you go up the lift hill, continue the track, get to halfway, and you're in another indoor section, ascending through this makeshift lift shaft almost, and then you continue on the second half of your journey. Just something to play with your mind a bit, so you're getting indoors and outdoors. I would have thought that would have been something cool as well, and it definitely fits in with that sort of concept theming that they went for in the original alternative designs. But yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on what you would like to see in the Smiler become. Do you like it as it is? Can't you see it any other way? I know there's some diehards who absolutely love it as it is. Wonderful, absolutely love the ride myself, but I've always thought that the theming could have been something more, something extra. And these concept art designs, I would have loved to have seen that more than what it is now. It definitely fits in more with the experimentation theme, definitely keeps in line with the very grungy sort of feel that Alton Towers go with a lot of their horror themed rides. Basically, Alton Towers are just horror directors that never got the chance to make a movie, so they're building coasters instead to fit around the themes. Absolutely love it. Big horror nerd myself. Love to see it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I've been Sean Evans. You've been watching Lift Thrills and Thrills. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye!